The Nether, a place of chaos and mystery. It tells a tale of ancient ruin and unquenchable greed. Once, Piglins thrived in this treacherous domain, until their home was marred by the insatiable desires of their leaders. Leaders that in their own ways personified every evil within the Piglins. Legends has a lot of details that you can see within the game, cutscenes, and more. An exploding skeleton here, an invisible barrier there, or even ghasts and endermen being seen briefly in the backgrounds. Some of these details further reinforce lore points and theories, whilst others bring new questions and ideas to the table. So in this video, we plan to try to answer some of these questions, and bring new ideas to the table. If you have other ideas for these theories, or entirely separate theories that you want us to cover in future videos, let us know in the comments. If you enjoy the video, consider... Wait, am I forgetting something? Oh yeah, congratulations to everyone who voted for the Jade Golem in the last video. As we speak, I'm already animating and beginning the process of implementing it into the game. Anyways, if you enjoy the video, consider subscribing. The Unbreakable. A being driven by an insatiable desire for power and wealth like most Piglins, remains still the most ambitious of the four legendary ancient Piglins. Their infatuation with gold is still felt, mirrored by the bastions that still populate the Nether to this day. These formidable structures guard their precious treasures, a testament to the Unbreakable's unwavering pursuit of power and influence. Their body has been scarred from previous fights and encounters within the Nether's dangerous environment, losing a tusk and an arm, eventually being replaced with a golden prosthetic, equipped with a hand cannon. One might think their cannons shoot some sort of energy or fireball, but they in fact shoot magma cubes, as seen from when they bounce away or during the fight. The magma cube spawner within some bastions could be a form of tribute. The probable creator of the bastions having spawners to sort of dedicate to them makes sense. Compared to the other ancient Piglins, they are so much more intelligent and strategic, alongside their ambition to expand into the overworld with their troops, cruelly incinerating weaker Piglins without any emotion, favoring and approving of the strong. When the player fights them, their base is surrounded by multiple walls, filled with towers to launch projectiles, and even a deep moat of lava surrounding the highest part of the base. They're much more active as a leader than the others too, approving of groups of warriors as they're sent into the overworld, whilst the beast ignores and puts off their tasks until their hand is forced, or the devourer lazily instructing their troops what to do, sitting in a soup bath the entire time before the fight against them. The Unbreakable's power is corrosive, whilst arguably being the smartest, could have even planned to usurp the throne from the Great Hog. As stated in the description, like any other Piglin, the Unbreakable is a power-hungry and arrogant opportunist who wouldn't hesitate to take the throne from the Great Hog. However, no other Piglin is as cutthroat and relentless in their pursuit of the highest rank. With the impact the Unbreakables left on the Nether, more than the Great Hog, some could say that they had gotten what they wanted in a sense. Now that you understand the Unbreakable's motivations, we can dive deeper into what they caused due to their envy of the Great Hog's position of power. With their imperialistic goals, leagues higher than the others, there's a good chance the Unbreakable was the motivator to set the denizens of the Nether back in their expansion, causing zombie Piglins to occur within the Nether. The Unbreakable and their horde make structures to better fuel their expansion, but these bases and projects require the resources to build said structures, with Piglins from this horde seen mining the land. Mining drills aren't seen in Legends. If they're not just out of view, it's possible that once the Unbreakable was defeated, and their access to the overworld severed, the remainder of their horde decided to use their netherite to make giant drills to better clear the needed resources out. Sadly, just like reality, overharvesting these resources can lead to harmful effects on the ecosystem, with so much of the natural biomes being damaged by their greed. The fungal trees aren't able to produce as many spores to go around, their equivalent to oxygen, and the wastes having little amounts, leaving Piglins there to suffocate and zombify. So whether during their life or as a ripple effect, this is the Unbreakable's fault, with these effects rippling even until now. The bastions are a clear sign of what they did by letting their envy consume them, a shattered remnant of a time now considered a legend. With the topic of Piglin generals, let's divert our attention to the Devourer. Lots of people have their favourite characters throughout the Minecraft franchise. I've loved the design and ideas presented with the Devourer. The idea of using bioproducts from themselves with an almost body horror feel to it is extremely intriguing to me. But after looking at the Devourer closer, I think interacting with the Devourer in person would be awful. The denizens of the Horde of the Spore are covered in bandages and sores on their bodies, with their skin tone being very pale compared to the other hordes. Accompanying these are multiple warped roots and other warped fungus growing from them, going with the theming of spores. But what could this mean? Spore and fungal related infections and diseases within humans, and other things in real life, can usually have some pretty gross effects, with boils forming all over the skin. From what disgusting real life examples I could find, these boils, which are formed from some of these infections, look really similar to the bruise-like spots on any piglin from the Horde of the Spore, which if left untreated, can eventually cause death. But our spore piglins seem to be fine for the most part, covered in bandages mostly around the feet and hands, which are parts of the body that affect humans the most. Even their skin shows that something's wrong, with it being pale, very pale compared to the other hordes, which might be thanks to the lesser amounts of lava within the warped forests. But there might be something else to this. The warped forests have been described as being where the nether meets the end, which apart from the abundance of endermen, could mean something more. Fungal growths love to grow on and consume rotting or dead natural matter, which makes sense, seeing the open wounds these piglins suffer from, or the sporebacks, well, backs. We also see warped and crimson fungal growths growing on the seer, which might be another interesting link. The seer, in their first appearance, as they make their way towards the table, groan and gasp as if they're on the brink of death. But yet, they still move about as needed, despite their hunchback posture, which is not normal for piglins, showing possible spinal warping and more. There is a possibility that the seer isn't really the seer, but instead some sort of puppet for the Heart of Ender, which can control and warp the world as they please, but are limited by their lack of physical form outside of the end. More evidence could be drawn further from the eyes, which are a different colour to the Great Hogs, being magenta, the same glow as the Enderman, and the other denizens of the End. So what does this mean for the Horde of the Spore? It could be possible that if the End caused the growths of warped plants in the warped biome overall to exist, the warped fungus on these piglins could also yield as a new form of zombified piglin, a corpse kept alive by the magic properties of the End, a dimension fully composed of magic, meeting their world. The Devourer, warping their body to be covered in expanding flesh spores, eating excessively to later use as ammunition for their acidic vomit. It's almost like they're using their own vessel as a sort of weapon, utilizing their body's natural processes. Even when the Devourer is defeated, as soon as they fall, they seem to be stiffened, almost as if rigor mortis had set in instantly. I just intook so much gold from him. Within the Nether's history, especially with what's shown in Legends, we don't see much of soul sand valleys or basalt deltas, which I believe are huge for the overall lore for the Nether. When the beast is seen hunting an ancient hoglin, most would infer that they're hunting it just for the sake of it, for sport in a way, but this is far from what I think is happening. After the humiliation of being overpowered by the Great Hog, made as an example to the other two, they unwind by taking their anger out with a hunt, going for a larger hoglin to increase their size and stature, to better comfort their ego. Because without their mount, they're miniature in comparison to the other three, being of a similar height to the pigmadillos. Comparing the size of the ancient hoglin that the beast chases to the size of a normal hoglin seems almost identical to the size difference of a hoglin and one of the fossils within the Soul Sand Valleys. There's a widely known about lore piece, theorizing that when something passes away in the Nether, its soul absorbs into the Netherrack, which is already very soft to be able to possibly take in souls. So if these bones belong to the ancient hoglins, what caused their extinction? Basalt deltas. A catastrophic level event occurred, similar to what is thought to have happened with dinosaurs, but with a volcanic explosion, wiping larger creatures from the Nether, leaving most of the smaller creatures to live on. This major cataclysm, not just the explosion, but also the radiation from this explosion, would have wiped the ancient hoglins out, leaving their souls to absorb into the Netherrack, with larger creatures producing more souls, as shown through Sculpt catalysts. They create an entire biome because of the pure mass the soul could take up within each ancient hoglin. As said, the basalt delta could extrude a small amount of radiation, indicated by the Geiger counter sound effect it plays, which could just be an ambient sound and nothing else. But this doesn't feel too far-fetched for the already hostile landscape of the Nether. Radiation affects dividing cells, so the larger an animal is, the more dividing cells it has, meaning it is more susceptible to forms of radiation. It could work differently here. Or some piglins just got lucky when the explosion happened. But that could have been another reason for a major exodus of some of the natural wildlife. Maybe some of this possible radiation could have caused striders to evolve from something else, or come into existence. Eating warped fungus, which apparently isn't pleasant to be around because of the stench they emit, being least favourable to the more sensitive of sniffers, Piglins. There aren't many natural mobs that are immune to fire and lava, but the striders have almost basalt-like textures on the lower side of its legs, meaning they could have possibly come from this biome when it appeared. Along with so many more mysteries and theories to go through, one could wonder that if everything in Legends is completely trustworthy in the sense of lore, even if so, it brings more questions than answers. Will we be able to completely answer these questions down the line? Only time will tell. Thanks a lot to everyone who has subscribed so far. I really appreciate all your support on these. If you have any theories you want me to cover or questions I could answer, let me know in the comments. If you're not subscribed already, do so to catch more theories in the future. Hope to see you in another video. But until then, have a good day or night.